Live and direct from anywhere in the world, it's The Kelley Show with Dr. Kelley Mondesiré.
Hello and welcome to The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time. And I'm Dr. Kelley Mondesiré. And today we're doing something very different. We're wrapping up the month of July, which has been a highlight of the League of Extraordinary Women. And some of these women have said to me, you should be on your own show and talk about yourself and your adventures and why we think you're an extraordinary woman. And I had to think about it. And I said, well, geez, that's really nice, but I didn't get here by myself. So today I want to honor all the women who throughout my life, and I'm going to go in chronological order, and who they were, when they entered into my life. Some of them are still with me because they're still alive, and how they affected my life and helped form and mold who I've become. So I want to start from the beginning with Josephine Telesco. This was one of my mother's sisters. And the photo in the middle, she was 21 years old. This was taken in 1943. And I have to say, my aunt was like Auntie Mame, the Pied Piper. I adored her. I worshiped her because she was one of the first, if not the first, female labor representative here in the United States. She was good friends with Nelson Rockefeller, great friends with Eleanor Roosevelt, knew Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, you name them, she knew them. She was amazing. And she influenced me in many ways. She had the stories of stories, whether it was jumping out of a window, trying to escape local police because she was unionizing, to throwing both of her high heels out to a matador in Spain in the bull ring because she didn't have flowers, and she wouldn't tell me about the rest of the story, but she did have his hat at home, hint clue. But she used to spend a lot of time with me every afternoon because I didn't have friends. I was a very obese child. I was bullied. You call it bullying today, but I was picked on and bullied mercilessly. I was in a fist fight in the schoolyard almost every other week. I was miserable. And she took me in and she taught me how to make escargot, and she would just make a scotch on the rocks and light her filterless Tarrytown cigarettes while we would talk and go shopping together and do all kinds of crazy things. And she would tell me stories, and boy, did she have the stories. And she loved life. She loved to sing and dance and play the guitar. No, she couldn't play the guitar, but she played the guitar anyway. And I always wanted to be like her. And interestingly enough, the photo on the right was taken of me a few years ago at a black tie event. And my mother, who was only a few years younger than Josephine, gasped because she said, "Oh my God, you look just like Josie." So she's of course no longer with us, but I want to thank her because she said, you need to get your own friends and we need to have adventures in life, and kind of like kicked me out of the nest. And so I had to find friends. And one of the most dearest to me, and still is Nancy Gruber Seymour. And Nancy and I actually know each other from the cradle, but I never started really hanging out and playing with Nancy and the kids until I was about 8, when Nancy took me under her wing. Nancy was always the leader of this big gang of kids we had in the neighborhood, and I was kind of like her deputy dog. And Nancy would always make sure I was invited to birthday parties and I was part of the team and part of the gang. And she was master of athletics, climbing trees, rocks, running, you name it, Nancy could do it. And over 40 years later, we met up in Joshua Tree where this photo was taken. And we had like this 25-foot drop in between these rocks that you see there. And I said, yo, Nance, how are we going to do this? And she said, follow me, just like we were when we was 8 years old, and we leaned our backs against one side of the rocks and put our legs out. Thank God we could reach because we're both really short. And we went, like this across this past, and these 20-year-olds were looking up at us saying, holy cow, I can't believe you're doing that. And I'm like, well, I'm just following her. Stupid is as stupid does, but we made it. And Nancy, I want to thank you so much for your friendship. We've got many more years of friendship to go, and I can't wait to see you on our next adventure. But aside from Nancy, there's someone very, very special who's been in my life since I'm 8 years old, and that's Connie Raviggo. And Connie, this is us when we were 15. She'll kill me for this, but I had to do it. Love you, Connie. Connie is not only an expert in dressage riding, that was her horse Buck, but she's also a master jeweler. And Connie is my rock. Connie has been there through good times, bad times, boyfriends, husbands, businesses, moves, you name it, injuries, accidents, hospitalizations. Connie is always, always, always there for me. And I want to thank Connie very much. And recently, Connie and I got together and we went for a day at a mansion up in Westchester, Connecticut. We have a photo of that to put up, of me and Connie sitting in a swing and having a great time. And you know what? It doesn't matter how old you are. You're still kids in a swing, and friendships last forever. But aside from Connie, when I started working in television, there was someone very special I met when I was in broadcast operations, and her name is Danawin Sherman. And Danawin had it all together. This is me and Danawin about a year ago before I moved out of Manhattan. And she was amazing because Danawin was so mature for her age, and she knew how to rock it. She knew how to do life. She had been an independent adult since the time she was, 16, 18, lived in the Lower East Side in the East Village. And, Danawin was amazing and a brilliant, brilliant woman, a tremendous career in television. I'll never forget, there was one night I was working on the 9th floor in NBC graphics, and she was on the 5th floor in broadcast operation controls. She was a BOC manager, big deal in those days. And she calls me up and she said, hey, get down here. I said, why? She said, there's a bomb scare. I said, well, and she said, bombs blow up, not down. The bomb scare is on the 7th floor, so get down here to 5, so it's faster to get down to the street level. So I ran down to the 5th floor, and it turned out to be a dud. And I don't know. Danawin has been always very special to me, and big shout out to Danawin and her partner, Michael. Danawin taught me confidence. Danawin taught me how to manage the television business when it was a little bit rough around the edges in the early 80s. So I want to give a big shout out. But getting back to the personal, there's someone very special who hasn't been with us for many years, and her name was Annabelle Weisberg. And Annabelle was a mother to me. She was kind and comforting and loving and gracious. And Annabelle always used to say to me, do your own life. Do your own life. It was her mantra, because I was doing everybody else's life except for mine. And she used to say, do your own life. And Annabelle was there when I needed that love and that nurturing and that hug and someone to tell me everything is going to be okay. And I miss Annabelle very much, but Annabelle knew her time on the earth was short. And she said, you need to be friends with Dalia. And Dr. Dalia Goldstein is my bestie. She's beautiful. Look at Dr. Dalia, Dal. She's absolutely gorgeous, brilliant, amazing. I used to be so intimidated by Dalia because she did everything. Tennis, horseback riding, skiing, snowboarding, roller skating, you name it, Dalia did it. And she was stunning and gorgeous and still is. And on Annabelle's urging, we became friends, and we're still very, very, very dear friends. And Dalia has been such a fortress of strength and compassion and love for so many. I admire her and I look up to her, and I only wish one day I could be as as calm and quiet and still of mind as Dalia is. So I want to give a big kiss, hug, shout out to Dalia, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks in Genève. I'm looking forward to it. Bisous. So aside from Dalia, when I first started in television, there was another character I met, and that was Ginny Jones. Ginny Jones, that's really her name. Ginny, here's a fun fact, grew up next door to Martha Stewart. That's a fun fact. And Ginny is the queen of networking. She is the queen of working the room. And I met Ginny when I was working for CBS News for the morning show. I met Ginny. And Ginny, man, I never knew anybody that could talk so much at 2 o'clock in the morning. And everything coming out of Ginny's mouth was gold. And we went to this Broadcast Designer Association's convention. And I said, I don't know, Ginny, I don't know anybody. She said, follow me, stay with me. I'll teach you how to work the room and do the ropes. And I have to say, Ginny, you taught me everything I know about walking up to people I don't know, putting my hand out, shaking the hand and saying, hello, I'm so-and-so, who are you? And may I join your conversation? Ginny gave me chutzpah. Ginny was master connector. And Ginny, interestingly enough, is the reason why I am here today as Dr. Kelley Mondesiré and as no other alias and name. So I want to put a big shout out to Ginny Jones. Ginny, I love you to death. But suffice it to say, another person I met while I was in television is Allison Scanzano. Beautiful Allison, look at her. She's absolutely gorgeous. Now, Allison is incredible. Allison has done so many different careers in her life. She's been this incredible designer, director, producer, innovator in graphic and digital arts, then became a sommelier. And during COVID, pivoted into being like a chief inspector for COVID for, a borough of Long Island in New York. But Allison is kindness itself. And Allison, if you ever go to her house, you better be hungry because she just puts everything out. And when my mother passed away last year, I hadn't seen Allison in years. Allison showed up at the wake and said, well, now we're sisters in the group of motherless daughters. And Allie, I can't thank you enough. And I can't wait until you and Dominic come down and visit me down south here. And fingers crossed, I can bring you down here and join me for the fun. But now we're talking about sisters. And then there's Janice Ultraver, who is the sister I never had. I love Janice from here to the stars and back. Janice, I know since I'm about 8 or 9 years old. Janice has always been there for me through thick and thin, good times, bad times, sickness, health. No, we're not married. She's my big sister. And when people ask me, do you have a sister? I say, yes, her name is Janice. And Janice is incredible. She is my strength, my mentor. She always tells me when I'm wrong, always tells me when, I need to back it up, step it up, put some common sense sometimes in my head, but she's always there for me as a sister is. And there isn't anything I wouldn't do for Janice or she wouldn't do for me. So Janice, thank you for being my pillar and for always, always, always being there. And the photo on the left, folks, was last week when Janice and I got together at Magnolia Plantation in South Carolina. And ironically, she moved down to South Carolina 2 years ago, and I followed her down. And so now I get to see Janice whenever I want again. So love you, Janice. So moving right along to more calm in my life is Marlene Marchovich. Marlene is flipping brilliant. She's a sociologist, researcher by profession, now studying gerontology. Interestingly enough, she is a death doula. And when my mother passed away, I had my own personal death doula at my side for the entire 3 days that we had the wake, the funeral, and this, when my mother died. And Marlene is quiet listening. She is quiet wisdom. She is amazing. She is so calm and so incredibly gentle and loving. However, what you might not know is I met Marlene in the Muay Thai gym. Marlene is ferocious, has one of the nastiest left hooks I've ever had to block or eat, and helped me train for some of my fights. So I want to thank Marlene profusely for all our talk through hours on the geopolitics and philosophy, life in general, and for being a really good sport. Because Marlene, I'll say to Marlene, hey, let's go to Cuba. And she'll say, okay. And I'll say, Marlene, let's do this. And she'll say, okay. So Marlene, thank you. Now, Marlene is the calm one in my life, but the bad influence in my life is Maria Smith. And Maria is a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Maria is the CEO of Smith Affiliate Capital, which is a Wall Street capital management corporation. And there's Maria, beautiful Maria, in elegant evening dress. She's brilliant, 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 incredible. She is my advisor, another big sister to me. God bless her. She's been through the boyfriends and the businesses and the ideas and all the crazy times. And another one who will say, well, let's do this. And I'll say, okay. And I have to share that Maria and I have had some crazy, wild times together. Aside from getting crazy, I do have a normal friend, and her name is Sarah Rapaort. And Sarah is incredible. I met Sarah many years ago when she was a social worker with the city of New York, and she focused on geriatrics. And Sarah is one of the most kindest, wonderful individual, so caring. And I can't even tell you how much garbage has been thrown at Sarah in the past several years, and she has just dealt with everything in life that has come at her with quiet grace, quiet strength, and always has a fun, great story. And no matter where in the world I tell Sarah I want to go, she says, oh, I've been there, and gives me like great advice. And I have to say, finally, I'm going someplace Sarah Rapaort hasn't been to, and that is Tibet. So Sarah, I'm going to Tibet, and I'll report back when I get back, and we'll have a good visit, and we'll share some good crack, and we'll catch up. And I want to thank Sarah for showing me what love and kindness and gentleness and true beauty of the heart and soul looks like. And that looks like Sarah here. And Sarah is somewhere in the Adirondacks enjoying herself, as you can see. She just sent this photo to me. So Sarah, enjoy life. You deserve every good thing God sends to you. So God bless, and I'll see you soon, my friend. And then across the pond is Kathleen Fanning. Kathleen, I met online at an IBO online networking meeting, IBO breakfast. That's the Irish Business Organization in New York. And I was in a bad space. It was still during COVID lockdown, or just after we were able to get out. And Kathleen is a life and career coach over in Ireland, and she offered a complimentary session. And I took it up because I really needed some help. And we became friends. And Kathleen is responsible for me to start going back to Europe every year, which I need to do. I need to go home. Really got me on a good track with positive intelligence, and is the reason why, after many, many years, I had the courage to begin a daily journal. And she's the reason for the Kelley Show, because without that journal, and her guidance, I never would have scribed down the idea I had to do the Kelley Show. And this photo was taken a little over a year ago at the 50th anniversary, the gala celebration of the IBO New York. And this was the first time Kathleen and I had met in person. And we got to give each other a wonderful hug. And Kathleen, I'll be back over to Ireland soon. And if you get down here to Hilton Head, you've got to come see me. But I'll talk to you next week because we need to catch up. But I want to thank Kathleen so much. I'm so grateful. I have so much gratitude for her love and kindness and graciousness and her good heart to give to me someone she didn't know from a hole in the wall. So thank you, Kathleen. God bless. And finally, well, almost, I want to put up 3 photos of a woman who is very instrumental in many different ways that created who I am. Now, this woman made me look like Tinkerbell, still makes me look like Tinkerbell in her force of personality, her stoicism when times were tough, and when I really needed her later on in life, she came through for me. And this is my mother, Margaret Telesco. And my mother was a model. She was gifted artist. She could just make magic out of anything that touched her hands and was an incredible creative. And she loved to have fun and she loved to dress. And the photo on the left is when I took her to high tea when she was about 88. And I had a very elegant dinner party at Café des Artistes in New York City for her 90th birthday. And that middle photo was my mother on her 90th birthday. And I have to tell you, everybody should look so good when they're 90 years old. And the photo on the right is my mother on her 99th birthday. And her last words to me on her deathbed, literally, were, I want you to be happy. Whatever you do, make sure you be happy. And then she said, I need to move. And I said, what do you need? What do you need? I'll help you. She said, no. I just want to look at you. I said, why? And she said, because you're so beautiful. And I just need to look at you. I just want to look at you and remember you. So thank you for all you gave me to create the person I became, which is tough at times. Finally understood the mush in me and acknowledged all that I had done in my life. So that really mattered, and I appreciate it. And last but not least is my favorite of all time. This is the most extraordinary female. Now, she didn't have 2 legs. She had 4 paws. But my Suki came to me in my life when I needed her most. I adopted her when she was 1.5 years. Some of you, well, everybody knows me knows Suki. But Suki was my sense of humor. And we had many, many adventures together. It was always me and Suki. We were inseparable. But Suki taught me how to give love and give it unconditionally. And Suki helped me to laugh at myself, which I never had done. And the photo in the middle was when I had graduated from med school and I had a party. And of course, my girl was there with me. And of course, Suki was Super Suki, the squirrel slayer, and always went on every adventure with me. And I miss Suki, but we're going to go to a video in a few seconds. But, you know, creativity is important. And if you want to be extraordinary, you have to think out of the box. And as you can see, I was very creative with Suki. Everything in my life animates. And there isn't anything I don't see or go past during the day, any given day or night, which doesn't animate. I should be working for Disney, actually. But I'm going to break to a video that was taken when I found a bucket on my way out of a restaurant, of course, in NOLA, and Miss Maria encouraging me. So, Gareth, why don't we put this one up? If only had a brain.
Can you do a few steps back?
Spin it. If I only had a brain.
No, shake the booty. Shake the booty. For Madeline. Because I say, Madeline, shake the booty. And she goes like this. And now her teachers are like, she shouldn't do that in class.
How's
She's like, Gigi taught me that.
Well, Madeline is Maria, or Gigi, alias Gigi's granddaughter. And as you can see, if you can laugh at yourself and have a good time, laughter is great medicine, and creativity opens up your brain to new ideas. So I want to thank everybody for watching this. Hopefully you didn't click the off button yet, but these are the women who are my league of extraordinary women. And these are the women who stand behind me and have always been behind me to uplift me when I was down and congratulate me when I did something good, and never, never will back down to tell me when, hey, you got to like back off or you did something wrong. So I just want to end with this. People ask me whenever I go on crazy adventures, or I tell them I'm going here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid to give up a career in television and go to med school? Aren't you afraid to ride that motorcycle? Aren't you afraid to go fight in the ring? Aren't you afraid to go, to crazy places in the world yourself? And I say, you know what? My answer to that, and this is what I've learned from all these women you've seen today, is be daring. Have no fear. Be fearless. Don't think twice. Have no fear. Have no boundaries. Boundaries is like self-imprisonment. No rules. No rules. Don't have any rules. But most importantly, you've got to laugh at yourself, because if you can't laugh at yourself, you got a big problem going on there. You're too serious. So with that, I want to say my producer and dear friend, Gareth Wax, has created a music video based on what he knows me and some of the photos he's seen of my life. And I haven't even seen it. So, when he puts this up, it's the first time I'm going to see it, but it's describing who I am in my life. And I hope you like it. And he composed the music, the lyrics, and I've given him complete creative license. So thanks everybody for listening, for watching. I hope this has encouraged, inspired some of you. And now you know who my team is and my league of extraordinary women. So Gareth, take it away.
I've been knocked down, I've been bruised and scarred. Took some hits, but I've come real far. From fight nights to big city lights, I walk through fire, I don't lose sight. In New York's heart, I healed with care. Hands of steel and a steady stare. Now it's snakes and wild boars down in the pines, but I still fight with a healer's mind. The world can turn, the winds can blow, but I don't stop. I rise, I grow. I rise through every storm under southern skies. You can block, you can fight, but I don't stop. I'll burn that light with love as fuel and fire inside. Yeah, I fall, but still I rise.
If you would like to be a guest on The Kelley Show, send us an email with your contact information, where in the world you are, and a brief description of the story you'd like to share today.
Bye.